prediction jokes aside, what do you think? I mean, we've been talking about, again, Vici Gaming. It kind of depends on where they are in their state. Are they returning to their prime a little bit, or are they still in a little bit of a slump and we're not sure where they are? How do you feel, Sindarin?
Well, that game one was definitely some of Vici's good play. I don't think it was the full throttle Vici Gaming, but it was up there. It was better than what we saw a month ago, that's for sure. So they've definitely improved going in. I mean, it's a very small sample size. Maybe they just had a great game. Maybe it was a fluke, but judging from what we've seen, that was very impressive. So I'm gonna stick by my 1-1, but the most likely outcome at this point is probably 2-0. But I don't think it's it's not a major advantage for Vici Gaming. Maybe like 60-40 going into the second game. Where I said 50-50 going in, so giving Vici a little bit more credit here.
Okay, fair enough. And it does sound like we have a quick little update. CDEC taking a game off of MVP, Hot 6, and it looks like we have the final moments of that game here coming up.
Game.
Wow, I mean, look at the kill score too, 26-48. And it looks like this one was over 70 minutes also.
And Winter and I looked at a net worth, and it's actually deceptive. The kill score does not really tell a story of how close this game is.
Yeah, and in one team fight, Bloodseeker did 5,000 damage towards the enemy heroes. Like 4,800 damage. That was insane.
I mean, overall, so far in TF5, we've had some long games coming down to one or two last team fights.
Is this the ending fight? Because this really doesn't look like.
Yeah, it doesn't look. I mean, it would be a little bit odd if that were the case, but I guess we're about to find out. It does seem. I do believe it drags on for a little bit here. We didn't get to catch it live.
Oh my god, everyone's stuck in the cogs.
Oh, now I see why.
Yes.
All right, it's the end fight.
Wow, yeah, I mean, hey, getting a little greedy. I mean, MVP Hot 6 was probably thinking the same thing, right? Like, hey, we can end this right here, we can push back. Chased a little bit too far, got greedy, and there we go, CDEC taking that fight. And there's the GG call from MVP. So, CDEC is up in that game. And as we wrap that one up, we are going to go right into Game 2 between Vici Gaming and Team Empire. So as you can see, the draft has already started, and Quap being picked up by Vici Gaming. So not going to see anything too crazy with the Rubik just yet. And the ban's pretty straightforward. The Lesh, Tusk, Gyro, and Bounty Hunter this time, though, being put back into the banning phase. So priority shifting a little bit between the two teams.
I think that when Empire pick Wisp and Tiny, they actually rely on it a little bit too much and go back to the older playstyle. We've seen stacking and farming pretty prevalent throughout this tournament, but it's not as strong as it was before, with kills, kill gold being buffed and creep gold just being nerfed overall. And I think they just relied on Tiny being Superman a little bit too much without actually trying to kill and limit the opponent's farm. So, I don't think that Empire should turn to it for game number 2, although the option is still available.
Maybe you open with the IO and decide later what you want to pair with.
Like Wisp Bristle, I think, would have been, because they really lacked that frontliner that could actually just stand up to a DK stun. And anyone that got stunned was very likely to die, or they had to blow multiple cooldowns or ultimates to escape it.
All right, Spirit Breaker. Haven't seen SB too much today on our stream. I don't know if we've seen it in our other games. I do believe we have a couple times, but.
Wow, Dazzle
Dazzle
is the hero of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely, at the very least, if you were on the losing team, Dazzle single-handedly extended the fight quite a few times, just like we saw Wyvern do with the same thing with the Embrace. So, Dazzle is going to be a little bit annoying for Vici Gaming, but that means there's also quite a few other heroes left, right, that have been in high contention throughout.
They left the Shadow Fiend as
Right.
Radiant, so that's kind of unusual. There's still Rubik if Vici want to go. Like Rubik Quap is pretty standard for them if they want to go back towards that direction. But like you mentioned, they're going to go for the Wyvern.
All right, Dazzle and Wyvern.
Yeah, both the defensive supports being snagged up by both the teams.
So Wyvern has, of course, the interesting counterplay to Spirit Breaker of being able to curse while he's charging in. It's pretty much, I don't know the cast point of Winter's Curse. It seems like it's point very low seconds.
There's a slight delay though, slight delay. He needs to turn his head.
Yeah, basically that's all. So there's a play there. Of course, Spirit Breaker in the early stages generally looks to gank the lanes very early on with charge, and since all of his damage output is physical, apart from, I believe, the Greater Bash is magic damage type, right? But the rest is physical. Of course, he hits very hard, so Cold Embrace can definitely save you from those early ganks. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's kind of an open-ended Wyvern pick. I don't feel like it's a great pick just yet, but if nothing else, it protects them from what's to come for Empire.
Yeah, we've seen it vulnerable to like Lena picks, Shadow Fiend picks also. I mean, there are a lot of heroes. As long as you don't commit like Bristle plus TA plus PA or something like that, then you're not going to have too many issues dealing with.
They actually banned the Wisp,
Yeah,
even with the Wyvern for themselves. That's a little surprising.
perhaps just giving a little bit of a nod to Empire to some extent, but as you were mentioning, I mean, Ben, you were saying Empire maybe relying too much on that. So that could go either way, but the Broodmother once again being panned out by Empire. Keeping note of that one, they don't want to be the ones to make that mistake.
Yeah, that's also another team I think you should always ban Brood second phase, unless you have, two heroes already drafted that can deal with it.
Yeah, Isis is he's very good at. I think we also wrote that on like the team profile for them that Isis. Well, we didn't write annoying offlaner, but we were talking about it. What was it? We call him disruptive offlaner.
Yes,
right?
I do
So
believe
he's really good at drawing attention to himself, annoying the supports, forcing them to spend resources on him, and Brutus like the #1 pick for that. So just good piece of advice. Just don't give it to Vici. I could definitely agree with that, man.
All right.
This game, they might actually go for Darkseid with him. They have a very good combination play with Quap and Wyvern, so that could be it's something that he likes to play as well. You could disrupt the supports a lot, waste a lot of their time, and he's really strong at making team fights happen for Vici.
Rubik ban from Vici. What do you make of that? That, to me, seems a little bit odd. Maybe not exactly what we might have
I mean, we thought that a
expected.
lot of their bans are odd. Maybe they're just like,
Yeah,
doesn't really matter.
Like the last game as well, we were like, okay,
Yeah.
That's
It's like,
true.
They're not going to pick Lena.
okay.
And
Yeah, I mean, last game it looked like they were kind of self-banning themselves to a certain extent.
I'm guessing they want Shaker when they ban Rubik like this.
Yeah, Darkseid as
Yeah,
well.
Darkseer, you mentioned that, Winter.
Yeah, it's very good with Wyvern and Quap, so it's not a surprise that it's getting taken out by Team Empire.
It could also just be a respect ban Rubik, actually, because Aloha Dance plays an incredible Rubik. He's actually up there, I guess. He would be like my third pick,
Okay.
I suppose, after
And Lil as
FY
well.
and Kuro.
And Lil as well from Virtus Pro. I think
Yeah,
the other four
Lil
guys.
is really good. There's actually so many incredible Rubik.
now that we start talking
maybe
about
it's a good
Rubik
hero.
players. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound like too much of a bad idea, especially because they just want a game with it. Obviously, you don't want to give them the revenge pick, so to speak, to let Empire have their showing with it.
This is a lot of information, I feel like Empire are giving Vici Gaming right now. This is a pretty weak support duo. Pretty much guaranteed that these will be the supports,
Right.
which also tells them that Spirit Breaker is not a support, so he's an offlaner most likely. So Vici can definitely start game planning around this, and if they're looking to put on some really early aggression with their secondary support, I think they might just be able to get away with it, because Empire can only counterplay. They can't really put pressure
Yeah,
themselves. Maybe you just pick a greedy carry, like PL.
I think
for-
Phantom Lancer is good because
PL
Phantom
for-
Lancer is great versus Spirit Breaker and Disruptor.
Absolutely.
You can dodge their spells with Doppelganger.
And How is incredible on that hero. I think it's like when a lot of teams weren't really picking the new PL, Vici Gaming were like first picking it because they were so confident in How's ability. So I think it's definitely the most likely third or fourth pick here for Vici Gaming.
All right. Well, Vici's running down their clock quite a bit, and going with
That's
the
something new.
revenge.
I think that's a first in this event.
Yeah, definitely on the mainstream. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was the first throughout the event. Okay, well, I mean, filling out their support roles for sure.
That's really odd, but because usually you have Venge because you want to. I guess it's good versus Spirit Breaker when he's focusing. I mean, they have Wyvern for that anyway.
yeah.
So, but they're on Dire, so Venge does serve her purpose on the Roshan factor, I guess.
So what if you Winter's Curse Spirit Breaker when he's charging in? And then so that Dazzle can't grave him, you swap Dazzle into Spirit Breaker, so he starts hitting him instead.
it's very far-fetched.
But it's a possibility.
But it's a
right?
possibility.
Yeah, it is.
Watch it
definitely.
happen 4 times in a row.
That'd be pretty epic. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with seeing that 4
I
times
would
in
like
a row.
to see that, though, actually. And situational play.
Right now, they don't have enough physical damage to really warrant a Vengeful Spirit pick. So
They still
I
haven't
think-
picked their carry.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and I mean, quite a few options, of course, for carries
They-
specifically.
They might actually go for, like Tide Hunter because they banned Rubik, I guess. I don't know. It just feels like it's just a random thought that came up to my mind. And they have a lot of minus armor going on with Tide and Venge for the Roshan.
Oh, that's another angle we haven't talked about. Focusing on what else you can do for the Roshan. Ember coming back.
Here we go again.
lots of Ember yesterday, earlier in the day too.
Ember Dazzle, too.
Yeah,
More or
Ember
less.
Dazzle too. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that has, as you mentioned earlier, that's what's allowing Ember to really reappear quite a bit.
They don't really have any like direct lockdown for the Ember. Like the bench stun is sometimes not that reliable when he has the Remnant behind, so they don't have good tools against the Ember right now.
They have Wyvern ult.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the only one.
Yeah, and it's not.
But it's not that
Reliable.
instant. Yeah, it's not reliable. It's not easy to get it on the Ember if he has a Remnant behind.
So just, I mean, 5 seconds left. I guess by the time I finish my question, we're going to find out. I was about to ask you if do they show their carry or
It's
okay.
a disruptive offlaner.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming out.
They actually have really poor tools for dealing with an Undying offlane, I think.
Yeah.
Disruptor and Dazzle
Very
are pretty
difficult.
weak. And Ember, they could possibly win a Wyvern Undying lane against this tri lane, I think. That's how weak the Empire safe lane is. Or, if they run an aggressive tri lane, it's just hands down a win for VG Gaming.
Right.
And they have the options right now, because Queen of Pain could technically safe lane and they can last pick a mid. How, I believe, does play a really good Queen of Pain, if that is what they plan to do. Or, I don't think you want to put PL one-on-one against Spirit Breaker. I don't think that's a nice thing to
No,
play. So.
I don't think that's a good idea as well. Like Spirit Breaker will be able to bully PL in the lane if that happens.
So Vici looking for carry or carry to fill out their lineup, and Empire banning out that PL. Just still didn't want to deal with it at all, not leaving that possibility open.
They actually did have the counter pick with the Ember. So. But playing it safe.
Yeah, just again, I mean, that's what we've seen generally, right? With last bans, it's at that point, just play whatever you think is safest. You both teams rather have relatively shown your hands at this point.
Finally, the
Draft.
ban. Fifth.
That's another, very safe ban away. Don't want to take that chance. So what more does Empire
They
need?
need burst damage, because
Okay.
like Spirit Breaker is going to charge someone on Empire. The Ember catches someone. They need a follow-up damage because Dazzle and Disruptor doesn't do damage as supports. So they need a core that deals instant damage, something like a nukes as hard as a Zeus.
Spirit Brothers.
That's good
A Spirit
damage.
Breaker
Yeah, that's
and
still
two
good damage.
Spirit Breaker and 2 spirits, you're right.
And it's a resolution hero as well. But there are 2 defensive supports on VG Gaming side that could deal with a Storm Spirit initiation very well.
I was thinking Empire could have actually tried in this game to go for a Quaswex Invoker, and that could have been a
I
really
always
interesting pickup.
like the Invoker for Empire, but then I don't think they scale well enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like with
could-
the Storm, it's like you're more secured if the game goes late because you don't have last pick and VG Gaming have the last pick. And being the team that you can't pick last, so you tend to focus on picking someone that goes later in the game.
Yeah, and
That's
then,
not what I expected.
Yeah, because Rupture doesn't do anything to Ember and Storm when they are flying around.
Yeah.
right.
And even in Sleight of Fist, you're also invulnerable. So
Yeah.
there's actually plenty of ways of dealing. It is great against Spirit Breaker. If you're
Right, I
ruptured
was
while
just
he's
about to
charging
say,
it,
like, is that maybe
well-
just the go-to right now for VG Gaming? Is just, hey, Spirit Breaker, your charge relatively not going to be useful because we have all these ways to deal with it.
This makes me think they wanted PL because I don't think this is the optimal pick, and it looked like they were just running out of time.
That's
I think
true.
they could have easily picked it over like Venture
Yeah,
on Time,
I mean,
though.
they could have picked the PL a
They
lot
could have easily
earlier,
picked
though.
PL.
That's true.
Maybe the Ember's pick kind of scared them a little bit. It's like,
Yeah,
well, they can even drive one more PL counter after this. So.
Oh, that's true. All right. Well, VG Gaming, perhaps they were pushed into the corner a little bit, but at the end, taking that Bloodseeker, something we weren't expecting too much. At the same time, Empire, do you guys feel a little bit better about Empire's drafting game too?